So what we're talking about isn't something else. It isn't somewhere else. It isn't in the future. It isn't something that will be or could be. It isn't going to happen. There isn't anything that's going to happen. It isn't something that will be found. The only finding, you could say, the only finding is finding that there's actually nothing to find. It's not surprising that this message, this speaking about life just as it is, isn't popular, because there really is nothing in it for me. Because in it for me is, well, what am I going to get out of it? And there isn't anything in this for you. This is already. There isn't anything more. So there isn't anything to gain or to lose, other than you or me telling a story about what we could gain or what we could lose. That's all there is. And of course, if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. It's too ridiculously simple. I mean, this is farcical. But it isn't something else. This isn't about a different reality. I mean, the way sometimes what is called non-duality. Non-duality is such a broad term now. When I hear quite a lot of people speak about this, they speak as though this is, that there's another reality. There's the dual reality, and then there's the non-dual reality. Well, they're not two. Duality, me and you, and oneness, you could say, or emptiness, or nothingness, or just this, has the appearance of duality, and that's just an appearance. But the appearance isn't separate from emptiness. So everything is what it is, and it also isn't what it is. The isn't bit can't be known. The bit that we can talk about, the knowing, is always dual, is always this and that, you and me, here and there, now and then, before and after. And that's not separate. That is what we're talking about. There isn't anything else to find. The seeming suffering of life, the majority of it is, this isn't how it should be. It should be another way. It could be another way. There's some other way it could be. Life could be different. Well, simply, just ridiculously simply, life couldn't be different from it is, because it is as it is. That's the answer. It's no answer for if you're looking for it to be different, I know. If you want it to be different, that's also just how it is. And incredibly, all of that is okay. even if it feels that it's not okay. There's simply nothing else. You don't need to know that there's nothing else. It's simply obvious. All other than this, other than what's happening, are just thoughts about how things could be different, how life could be different, how life will be different, how life was different. Look how things have changed. All in the story of the journey of me. And of course, some selves have a positive journey, but most selves don't. Most selves berate themselves for not making the right choices, for not being positive, for not being good enough. And even that is just what's happening. That's okay. The problem with this message is it sounds as though it's pessimistic. It's really not. It's absolutely neutral. It's neither optimistic nor pessimistic. They're just other ideas about the future, which doesn't exist other than you're thinking about it. That's the only place the future is. The future is only in thoughts about, in imagination about what will be, what might be. So I can't emphasize enough that this message is not saying that there is another reality, that there is something more real, that there is something that you could find that will solve all your problems. The message is there isn't a you who has problems other than your conviction that there is you and your problems. And I know, I know it's a almost universal conviction, and you've had it reinforced throughout your life by every other me. Because if you ever even suggested that you didn't have a self, imagine as a child, I don't know, say you were a very deep thinking child, and at 7 years old you turned to your mum and you went, do you know, mum, I know you keep talking about myself and how I need to work on that, and there's good things and there's negative things about myself, and I can work to improve the bad things, and I can work to enhance the good parts of myself. Well, do you know, I've had a look and I can't find me. I I don't even have a sense of self. Well, that's a short trip to the psychiatrist for you, you 7-year-old child, you poor bugger. So if you're fortunate enough to come across this message and it resonates, then at least as an adult you get a say. Of course, children don't, do they? They're they're at the beck and call of all the adult me's who, above all, want them to be a self. So you can let yourself right off the hook with that one. You didn't have any choice but to become a me. Because if you'd have said earlier on in life that you weren't, then you'd be hospitalized. If you went to see a doctor now, you probably might, you could be. Depersonalization disorder, probably, something like that. Mm. So we're not talking about something else. We're talking about this unknowable life that doesn't require any knowing. It doesn't require you and your knowing. It doesn't require you and your understanding. There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to get. There's nothing to understand. Whilst you think there is, whilst there's a conviction that you haven't got it, then there will be seeking. It's inevitable. I'm all, while you think you're getting there, the, the worst thing you could feel is that you're getting there, that you're getting closer to this, that you're on a journey, and the journey is to whatever you're calling, what you're hoping for, enlightenment, liberation, awakening, whichever word floats your boat and gets your juices flowing. You're going, that's what I want, that's what I'm after. Well, while you're after it, and especially if you think you've had some Satori moment where there was a revelation of knowing or a revelation of understanding, there couldn't be anything worse, really, because of course self loves that I'm getting closer. There is no getting closer or further away. This is insanely intimate. This is intimate love without a lover. Even self-love, not even that. So this message that emptiness is love, of course, is never going to be popular because, well, what's in that emptiness, that empty love for me? Well, absolutely nothing. That's the love. If there was something in it for you, it wouldn't be love. It wouldn't be compassionate. Because, of course, if you could have it, then you could lose it. If it could be captured, it could escape. So we're talking about what won't be held, what won't be known. That's really what I'm talking about capturing or holding, is knowing. And that's what me wants to do. Me always wants to know. Self wants to know. And then I've got it. Oh, I've got it. That's why awakening experiences, I think, can be the worst thing that could ever happen, because they suggest to me that I've got something and there's more to get. How could there be more? And of course, if there is more, if there's a conviction that there's more, then of course this is never enough. This is not good enough. And maybe there are a few selves out there who feel good enough, genuinely. I mean, not, I don't mean that they say they're good enough. You'll find thousands of them, liars, who are going through life saying, you know, they feel great about themselves. Well, I'm not buying it. They're the ones who probably berate themselves more than any other. But while you have a sense of I'm not good enough and life's not good enough, then of course you can't help but seek for more. And there's only one place to seek more, and that's in the future, which of course does not arrive. There is no arriving. You never left. There's no one to arrive. And in that is a peace that passes all understanding. I do like to quote a bit of Jesus now and again. And I absolutely love that phrase. I remember it as a child, and it resonated then with no idea why. But how wonderful to have a peace that passes all understanding. You don't have to know why there's peace. You don't have to know why there's love. You don't have to know why there's stillness. You don't have to know why there's silence, even when there's noise. There just is. That's what this is. Still, silent, empty, love. But there's not many people who's going to believe you if you say it, because of course for me that's not how it is. I'm somewhere else, aren't I? I'm looking. I mean, you can't be somewhere else. There's no one to be anywhere else. But whilst you're looking away, it's like you self is forever turning away from life, either into the past or the future. That's where they're looking. And so of course you can't see what's smack in your face, which is all there is. You know, and don't get hung up on real and unreal and reality. You know, so is this real or illusion? Is it dream or is it, you know, is it manifest or is it absolute? Don't get hung up. There's nothing to get hung up. The words don't mean, they mean shit. Words don't mean anything at all. So of course, a lot of words come out of this mouth and they mean absolutely nothing. But they're just trying to communicate, and quite good that they mean nothing because they're trying to communicate nothing. Well, which of course, that is futile. And one of the joys of doing this, speaking about this, is the futility of it, that you can't get it right. Well, isn't that beautiful? You can't get this right. Doesn't matter what words are spoken about it at all. This couldn't give a shit what you say about it. Love's unconditional. It doesn't care. Caring is conditional. What we've been taught is love, is not love at all. We've been taught that love is conditional. So if you care, then you're loving. If you don't care, then you're unloving. That's what me says. That's the story of love. Well, we're not talking about a story of love. We're talking about life and all of it being unconditional. And because it's unconditional, then love is a reasonable word. But don't get hung up on that word either, because that means nothing either. None of it means anything. But there is only love. All of it. All of this. However it appears. The worst of it as well as the best. Which is, of course, never acceptable to me. Me hears that and would just, well, usually gets angry about that. If I happen to mention that, and there's a few very adamant me's who say they know what love is and they know what hate is, because hate is the opposite of love. And you say everything is love, then it's going to make me angry, for sure. Because what would I, if everything is love, then what have I got to seek? What is there left for me to do? Well, there'll be nothing left for you to do. That's the unconditional love. There really is nothing for you to do. There's no you to do anything. That's unconditional love. All the doing just gets done. Doesn't need you at all. So the motivation to speak about this is to put you all out of a job, to make you all redundant. It's quite topical, really, as there's been a lot of redundancies during lockdown. Yeah, because your job is you and looking after yourself, improving yourself, keeping yourself safe. And whatever other goals and targets you've set yourself, hiding, running, working. So this message is suggesting a redundancy package. There's no payout though. You don't get, you sort of do get a lump sum. You get a lump sum. You get the lot. You get everything. But it's not what you wanted, because you only wanted the bits you wanted. You didn't want all of it. Well, this is a huge lump sum. It's the ultimate lump. It's the whole lump sum. You don't get, but of course, yeah, you go, well, I don't think I want it now, thanks. I didn't want, what, everything. Everything's just free to be as it is. Everything just appears as it. Yeah, that's the deal. Well, me, run a fucking mile. You know, I do not accept that. I'll continue working on myself. Thank you very much. And fuck off. And, you know, most most who hear this message, that's what they do. They go, oh, sounds shit. Well, I don't get to choose. No, you don't get to choose. Well, no thanks, that's not for me. I don't want everything. I just want the good bits. Well, that's the package. The package is complete emptiness. You get to have absolutely nothing. And then along with that, everything. But I say that's what's on offer. Of course, it's not what's on offer. That's as it is. And this couldn't care less whether you say you want it or not. There it is. Here it is. Whether you want it, no matter what you say about it, life is just as it is, isn't it? Isn't it? It just is. There's simply no escape. What we're talking about as the peace and the rest is that the one who so desperately wanted to escape, to get away, or to hide, it's the same two basic tactics me has of this isn't good enough, hiding and running. This is just the end of running or hiding. No escape. The relief is unimaginable that there's no one to go anywhere. I mean, I never use the word bliss, but I think that's what, you know, the old Indian guys were talking about. I'm not sure. Who knows? But I think that's what they were talking about when they said bliss. I think the bliss is the rest. Because bliss, I mean, how much more blissful is there than deep sleep? And really, we're kind of speaking about deep sleep, wide awake. Deep sleep, completely empty. Awakeness, completely empty, full of everything. It's not complicated, really. It's stupidly simple. You know you disappear every night, but of course, when me appears, me can't bear the idea of, you know, that it's just been born. me can't stand it. Even doesn't even entertain the thought that, oh, here I am, born afresh this morning, out of deep sleep, out of nothing. Here is everything. That's how it is. But of course, because I need to have an existence, which means I was here yesterday and I will be here tomorrow, this is missed. It's not really missed, but it's seemingly missed in the story that I tell about my life. Okay, that's enough. I talked for ages there. So nice to see you all. I had a lovely time at the seaside. I even swam in the sea. And if you're not British, you know that that takes some courage. Not more than a little courage to go. And I don't mean, you know, not wetsuit or dry suit, proper freezing. Great though, exhilarating. We could all do a lot worse than go for a swim in the sea every morning. You know, it's hard to ignore the that there's it's I don't know, the stimulation of cold water is wow, hugely exhilarating. But I probably wouldn't do it if I lived by the coast. I'd probably soon ignore it. There we go. Has anybody got any stories they want to share? Any, I don't know. I say stories because as soon as we speak, it's just a story. Any questions or anything you want to share about what I've said or anything else?
Marianne has a hand up.
Sorry, Marianne, I don't even see those hands. Yes, Mary.
Hey, thanks,
Hey,
Tim. This is really great. And I was thinking about something that you had said in one of your past meetings, which
right.
is, if you said something like, if you're waiting for this to, for something else to happen, if you're waiting for this to fall away, that's
Yeah,
part of the whole cycle. And I noticed just in very subtle ways, me trying, to compare this to that
yeah,
and seeing, okay, where have I gone now? And I could see that that
mm,
was just the never ending cycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
It,
If you could speak about that.
well, yeah, just so you noticed it, or there was noticing, you could say.
Yes. Noticing that and seeing how it's like a hamster wheel. It's its own self
Mm,
perpetuation.
yeah,
And it just
yeah,
kind of stops me, but then it starts right back out.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there is an element of disappointment in this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful disappointment. It is a beautiful disappointment. But, you know, if you've had a lifetime of looking for something else, then a lifetime of hoping and dreaming, which is the essence of self, is, just lives on dreams, really. Lives on hopes and dreams. And this, if this becomes obvious, it blows all that out of the water. And yeah, me will go on looking for, oh yeah, I've just got a little bit more insight there, or I've got a bit more understanding, or I think I'm getting closer. What I was talking about earlier. I mean, they
Yeah.
they can be really, they can hook you straight back into a path, a story of I'm getting closer to my goal. But
Right.
at least you've noticed it, Mary.
Yeah. And I noticed that there's like this subtle, I'll still work on myself while also seeing the non-dual realization, which
Yeah.
just seems, it's funny to say that out loud, but yes.
No, well,
Like I could have both.
Mary,
I
that
could
is a
have both.
great confession. That is like you. I feel like a priest now, a non-duality priest, and I'm
Well,
hearing.
thank you.
No, I'm hearing your confession about that you're still doing self work on yourself, which of course
Yes.
that is a no-no, and you need to stop it immediately, Mary.
Guilty, guilty. Give me a novena.
You need to say a lot of Hail Marys for that shit. Sorry, all the Catholics out there. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But yeah, that is some confession, and you'd be surprised though. That's how normal would that be for me? So this resonates. You like, there's some resonance with this message, but of course the working on yourself is what self does. That's that. that's habitual. You know, you've had, I'm not guessing your age, you've had quite a few years of doing that, Marianne. And so you could say it's the hamster wheel.
Yes.
Even if the hamster
Yep.
gets off the wheel, or even if we could say, even if the hamster dies, I'm stealing this from Richard Sylvester. This is Richard Sylvester's analogy. The hamster dies, or the hamster falls off the wheel and he's just lying prostrate. The wheel has momentum and the wheel keeps turning. I love that when Richard used that analogy. And I thought that
Yeah.
sort of let me off when you could say I was in your position, Marianne, where there was still some working on myself. But of course, even more ridiculous, you might confess this as well, Mary, I don't know. You can do non-dual work on yourself. And now, if you are doing that, then you really need to confess it now.
So
You know what I
not
mean?
non-dual.
I used to
What do
do
you mean?
non-dual work on myself.
Like the reminding, like when
Go
you
to
remind
anything.
yourself?
Well, I'm not. I mean, there is nothing funnier than doing non-dual work on yourself. But Eckhart Tolle, bless him, love him a bit. Fucking hell, there's some money in that non-dual working on yourself, isn't there? There's money to be made. That you could get closer, more now, more this, more presence. You know, I mean, if you even get a whiff of non-duality, you can see through that bollocks pretty quick.
Yeah,
You
I like
can't
the
get more of
analogy.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't
I
get
like
closer.
the analogy of the hamster on the wheel. That's more like what it feels like. It's like the
Yeah,
hamster dies, the wheel's still going, but it's like slowing down. It's like
yeah.
caught or something.
Well, and of course in this is quite common. I've heard this, the analogy of the hamster wheel. People go into non-duality retreats, and during the retreat, the hamster, he got off the wheel. He had a rest, put his feet up. I don't know, had a beer or two, chatted to some other hamsters who were lying around. Seems really chilled out. But then, of course, he left the retreat and he lay for a couple of days. But then me wasn't happy with that and got on his case. So back on the wheel he got. I've heard that story a lot where people, you know, they went, well, I had it and I lost it. Well, no, you lost it and now, and now you're having it again, getting back on the wheel. It's a nice
Right.
analogy. Back in the
So
game.
I think it's interesting what you're saying, because, and I only relay this because of what you just said, which is, you know, a few years ago, I had this complete, you know, falling away of me,
Right.
and I couldn't express it like this. But what I notice now is that the reason why I lost it is that there was this intense me that came back to try to understand it, to grasp
Absolutely.
it, to
Yeah, of
know
course.
it.
I need to
And
have
there
it.
it was gone. It was
Yeah.
absolutely gone.
Yeah.
And then the
Well,
intense search came.
that's really, yeah, that's great, Mary, because that's exactly it. As soon as me comes and wants to have it, to keep it as mine, as my knowledge and my knowing, well, of course it's gone. It hasn't gone, but the piece has gone. Me shatters the piece with my needing to know the piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Mary. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think most seekers will resonate with those. You have nearly everyone who's been looking will recognize that. We all have our stories. One thing I would say is this, it's quite, I say useful, it's not useful really, but it's quite handy to remember whenever you're listening to a speaker, and you may even even knowing non-duality and understanding non-duality, that there are no teachers and there's no one who's got anything more than anyone else because there's no one to have it. I think it can be useful, maybe, to bear in mind when you're listening to anyone like Tim Cliss, that Tim Cliss was a seeker. In the story, Tim Cliss was a seeker, just like you. The me, Tim Cliss, was a desperate, desperate seeker. Now, I don't know if that's helpful. The only reason I say that it might be helpful or useful, nothing's really, is because the worst thing that you can do is listen to human beings who speak about this and think that they have something, that they've got something, or they've lost something. There aren't any human beings who have lost their sense of self. There is no sense of self other than the illusion of having a sense of self. Nothing gets lost. There's nothing to lose. So there aren't any experts on this. There aren't any experts. There's experts on every other subject, but not non-duality. Forget it. If you are still comparing one speaker against another, one writer against another, saying, oh yeah, he's got greater clarity, he's got greater depth, he's got more understanding, all of that, all of those stories, they're all bollocks. Don't get me wrong, it's fine to say I like one more than another, but don't kid yourself that one is closer, one is more non-dual. There's no such thing. It's nonsense. But I hear it all the time. And I heard it all the time as a seeker. Most of the time in the pub, after a meeting, there would be some discussion of who's favourite, you know, who's flavour of the month, who's now got the greatest clarity, who's the most radical. Oh, that's a good one. That's good. That's a game. If you've been in non-duality around it much, you must have played that. Let's play who's the most radical this week. Like, oh, like that matters. And people getting quite heated in that debate, let me say. You know, passionate about their teacher. Well, that is that guru shit that this message is trying to squash. There isn't anyone to be higher, better, more radical, clearer. But of course, you will like some characters, and you will like some ways that some speakers speak more than others. So I'm not talking about preference. I'm just saying better, you know, higher, clearer. Especially the more radical bit. I do laugh about that. Anyway. Look forward to the complete end of lockdown so that I can go to some meetings, because fortunately I'm not far from London, and have those discussions in the pub again. Look forward to that. Because although I still like hearing the message, particularly from Tony, I love that still. The best bits in the bar, really. You do get a lovely bunch of, you know, misfit lunatics congregating at non-duality meetings, especially in Hampstead. If you ever get the chance, I'm recommending it. Let's hope that happens again. Oh, I've come out with a bit of hope.
Tim, did you
Yeah.
notice that question in the chat from Cribben?
You know, I don't notice anything, do I?
Okay.
Here we go. Let's have a look.
He says, would you distinguish between a sense of self and the character?
Yeah.
Or the personality?
Who's that from? Cribben?
Yeah.
And Cribben, yeah. Yeah, of course. I would say there isn't actually a character. There's just what do you mean? A disposition of a whole range of traits and language and behaviors that we call character. The way a human being responds, which I'd say is natural. We normally call that character. I think it's best if we leave the word personality out of this, just because it's got the word person in. I mean, they're sort of synonymous, character and personality, but of course, personality implies a person who has one. But of course, character does that as well. But character is natural. That's what I'd say. Whereas me, it's not that me is unnatural. Kind of is. But me just is the sense of control. Whereas character is just being what it is. It's just not me being what I am. There is no me that I am. There is just, and there isn't actually a character, because it sounds like, well, I could just substitute. There's a character inside the body that acts. I don't mean that. I just mean how a human being responds, how a human being acts naturally. Yes, I would distinguish between a sense of self and character. What there is in the world are human beings. There are human beings, and each human being has a character, you could say. But by that, I don't mean there's a character inside. I just mean certain ways of typically behaving. But there, you know as well as I do, there isn't a set character. How often have you said, well, I acted completely out of character there? Or he didn't, that's not like him. He doesn't usually behave like that. That's really out of character. So as though it was someone else. So there isn't actually something called character either, or personality. They're all illusory. What there seems to be is, you could say, patterns of behavior, if you want, patterns of how certain human beings respond. But that's just a story. It all becomes redundant, really. But without me, there isn't the judgment of the character. That's a lot of the piece that I talk about, or that is talked about, is in the one who judges the character harshly. If that's absent, the judge standing, lording it over the character, judging the character's good and bad behavior. If that's absent, then of course that's immensely more peaceful and has a sense of freedom that me could never experience. That beautiful freedom that everyone has experienced now and again. Every character, every human being has experienced that freedom, which is simply the absence of that judge judging me and my character. and my behavior. And life's much easier without that. Simpler, easier, lighter. Which makes this worth talking about. I wrote a post this week about somebody was talking about the golden rule. Now, the golden rule almost appears in every religion in slightly different forms, but it appears in all faiths. And in the Christian version, it's about treating others as I would like to be treated myself, or something, you know, in old-fashioned language. But treating all other human beings as I would treat myself, as a golden rule. And it suddenly dawned on me, and I can remember being a proponent of that as an RE teacher, saying to the kids, and I had it above my blackboard, I had the golden rule, and I had it written in, so I had the Hindu version, I had the Sikh version, I had the Christian version, the Jewish version, the Islamic version, because it's in all those faiths, this golden rule. And then it occurred to me that, of course, it does sound great until it becomes obvious that most selves treat themselves like shit. And so then the golden rule takes on a whole new flavor, doesn't it? Treat all others as shit as I treat myself. You know, because I don't know many selves who are nice to themselves. I just don't know many. Most are dreadful, much worse to themselves than they are to others. How ironic that the golden rule is needed, you know, suggesting that self is kind, loving, thoughtful, considerate, generous to itself. It's fucking not. I mean, that must be the biggest lie of all time, mustn't it? And we perpetuate that. I mean, that is, just because it's the golden rule, that's a big signal. That is in every culture, that bullshit. That big, big, big lie that self is loving to self. And if I treated others as I do myself, then the world would be a much more peaceful, loving, caring place. Bollocks. It's not true, is it? Anyway, yeah, I came across that today, this week. Much to my amusement, I have to say. It amused me a lot. So you can scrap that rule, throw the rule book in the bin. That's the other great, why you could call this message liberation. What we're talking about is it's the end of rules. There aren't any rules. Self has made up rules. You know, in order to keep itself safe from other selves. Don't get me wrong. You do need to have some rules about violent human beings. But generally, we can throw 99% of the rules in the bin. Has anyone else got a question before before we finish, I will say there is a meeting on Thursday. I'm planning to do an hour and a half meeting this Thursday, if you'd like to come. And if you've enjoyed the meeting and you'd like to make a contribution, a donation, then they're very welcome. You can make a donation through PayPal, paypal.me/Tim Cliss. And thanks very much for coming.
Lovely, thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers, Dave. Nice to see you all. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers, Tim.
See you, Serjan.
Thank you.
Nina, bye.
See ya.
Oh, it's already done.
Take care.
Just 1 hour today. Yeah, hi Tim. It's just 1 hour today.
Just one. Oh, sorry. Who said that?
Hi, Andre.
Andre, sorry. So I at the moment, I don't even know. It's quite arbitrary, really. I don't know what. I just thought another hour and a half was. I don't. You know, people get sick of me. I thought so.
Yeah, I didn't expect. No,
I cut it down to an hour. So I do an hour on Monday. At the moment, I'm doing an hour Mondays and an hour and a half on Thursdays.
I just have a couple thoughts to.
Pardon?
So I just had a couple thoughts to.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, can I?
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just when you talked with a lady at the beginning of the Zoom.
Yeah.
I just understood that I'm quite opposite. That I always has problem with some authority or some. It looks very looks very. I can't believe myself. I cannot believe that there is some methods for anything. It doesn't matter for something.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
anything, because it's already somehow it's already everything exists. I mean, or function or.
Was that even when you were younger, Andre? Was that?
Yeah.
You felt that?
Yeah, but I wasn't kind of seeker, like seeker. But
No.
anyway, I always was. It takes a lot of time for me to think about this, and sometimes it takes too much energy because my brain involving in this thinking or doubting about I don't know, just doubting.
So what you're saying is you even as a child you never took what was told to you to be the truth and reality. You always had doubts.
Not in childhood, but when I was like
from teenage years.
Teenagers, 20.
Yeah.
But it's somehow a strange situation. But on one hand, I wasn't a seeker. I think I wasn't. But on another hand, I'm quite a seeker because I always think about this.
Well, the thing is, you were a certain kind of seeker. You were a seeker who didn't go out seeking. You went in seeking.
Yeah. So sometimes I think that maybe I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
I never had some questions because when I want to ask something, I immediately realize that it's quite stupid because anyway, it leads nowhere.
Yeah.
That's why I just listening and okay, yeah. That sounds some sentence I like.
Yeah. So your seeking is, for want of a better word, you know, it doesn't sound like seeking to you, but of course it was, because Andre wanted to know the truth.
Yeah. It's not even wanting to know how it is. It's more like it's I just wonder, I can understand if everything is going on,
Mm-hmm.
why I still want to do something with it. It's really strange. I cannot find clue. I cannot find maybe answer for how it's happened. Everything is anyway going on.
Yeah.
But why I'm still want to do something with this? It's
well, I think maybe you'll just want to do something with it.
yeah, maybe.
There aren't any rules. There's nothing better about not wanting to do something with it, with this, and wanting to do something with this. That's not one is more this than the other. This isn't about what is done or what is thought, or it isn't about any of that. They're just, you can just say they're just all appearances. They're all just what's happening. And what's happening isn't happening. You know, it's empty happening, you could say. All happening is just nothing happening. So everything happening is nothing happening. So what I'm saying, when I say that, what I'm pointing at, it makes no difference to nothing. This empty, unconditional love makes no difference whether Andre is still trying to do something or not. Makes no, one is not any better or more this than the other.
Yeah.
There isn't anything more non-dual than anything else.
Yeah, that's, it's more. I think that the thing which is bothering me is not even dual, non-dual, because I think the name is, it's not so important. It's more I bothered by. I feel I still have some idea of getting something different.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but it should be something different. Yeah.
Well, while there's wanting to get something different, that's this. That's as it is. And it's nothing wrong with it. And they'll be wanting something more than this or other than this until there's not. And one isn't any better than the other. The not bit is just a bit easier, a bit more peaceful, a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, sometimes
easier, lighter. You know, that's all. That's all. But it's all this. It's all just life happening. There's nothing. And I can't make any guarantees, Andre, but I'm pretty confident that you're not going to find anything else.
Yeah, I know it, but
I have quite a strong level of confidence about that. You know, whenever you look, it'll be this, won't it? You know, you look and you go, I think there's something else, and then you go, oh no, there's just this. Yeah, of course, yeah, of course. Of course, that's how simple this is. It's just, of course. Is there something else? No. There's thoughts about something else, but that's this. There's looking for something else, that's this. There's imagination about it could be something else, and that'll be this as well. All of it. Okay, I'm gonna finish there, Andre. Thanks for your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Otherwise, I mean, I don't want to get a reputation for you know, I can just carry on indefinitely.
No. I just used to for half for the
Yeah,
hour
so
and a
you.
half, and now okay.
Oh
The
yeah, you've just been
the
waiting. You've been
new
yeah. And, oh
something new,
shit. Yeah. Okay.
something new. No, 1 hour is fine. Yeah.
So I actually quite like the hour. I find the hour and a half is really tiring.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm incredibly lazy, so I don't like tiring.
Yeah, I understand.
So thanks. I hope to see you Thursday. I'll put the invitation on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'll put this video up on YouTube as well. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye
Thanks
bye.
for your help.
Bye.
Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.